Hi, everyone. Welcome to Block Talk. This week, Maura and I are going to be discussing Block 13 in Socialites 3. It's the Back Porch block, and it was designed by Joanna Figueroa. I can't say her name as much as I try. But listen, before we get started showing our blocks, I did want to let you know that we are adding a new segment onto the end of this video. We'll be doing that each week. We'll switch back and forth between Maura and I. And since Maura had an exciting finish, she's going to go ahead and go first on this. And she hand quilts everything. So it's quite an accomplishment to get this quilt done. So stick around for that.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, Maura. You ready?
I think so.
Let's show our blocks. Yep. Oh, yeah. I like it a lot more. Okay. So, did you rip any seams?
I did not. Did you?
No. Amazingly, there was a
Oh,
lot of seams.
there was a lot. There was a lot in
There,
this.
there was a lot of cutting.
Yeah, that took that. I'm glad we're not having to be tested on that because I think it took me an hour to cut it all out. It was like,
I think
yeah.
that's about for me too, maybe 45 to an hour. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
time.
And then going back to go, what did I miss? What did I miss? Oh, wait, 16? I only have 14.
I know it was 21.5-inch squares. It was a lot, but
So
uh,
do you take your fabric and fold it over so that you can get multiple cuts?
I
First.
don't because my black fabric is so thick and unwieldy. Plus, lining up a
Oh,
black fabric on a black fabric, it's not. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really hard. White on white isn't bad. Black on black is, yeah. So I did them one at a time.
Oh, okay. I cheat. I'll double up and triple up the fabric and stuff. But then I noticed that my cuts aren't as consistent. But my back is going, no, not one at a time.
I know, right? Maybe you need to raise your table or get a taller table.
Yeah, I think that would help a lot.
I have a tall one. I finally got one, and my back never hurts from cutting anymore. I suppose it would if I was 3 hours cutting, but yeah,
Yeah.
that'll. Do you have any difficulties with this block?
Um, I kind of not really, but that whole sewing on the squares. If you get those a little cattywampus, it goes south pretty fast. There's some seams maybe I should have ripped, and looking at it, I don't have the exact my squares aren't touched in that rectangle like they're supposed to. And then I
Mhm.
watched Kimberly's video from Fat Quarter Shop, and so she would pin so that she knew where this rectangle was and where
Right,
the end of this was. She was putting pins
right.
to but it was really hard because there were times where you were sewing and sometimes this is on the top and sometimes this is on the top. And there's
Yeah.
no way of controlling that. So it's like I say, you're sewing blind.
I actually employed pins several times on this because of that and because of the black on black factor. Once I got it light up. Yeah, that I think is the only reason I didn't rip any seams. So kudos to you for not using pins and not ripping seams.
And here's another thing. I looked at the pattern and thought it was so wonky that it didn't make me want to be perfect in my block. I wasn't really worried about I did make sure that each square that I established was like 3.5 inches before I sewed it to the rows. But I wasn't worried about perfection on this because the block itself looked like it was supposed to be wonky. So I was like, if I'm off on my points and corners a little bit, it just adds to the wonkiness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an odd one in layout for sure. I was not I've been trying to practice not being as picky, and I did really good on this one, I think. But I do have one spot that's off, but the one thing I will say that I should have done probably, but I didn't want to, I did trim down the which ones? Okay, so I trimmed down the rectangle units because those I kind of deliberately did a scant 1/4 inch and I knew they were going to be too big. So I did trim those 4 down, but I probably could have trimmed those square and squares down because I noticed my block is too large now. And so several of my blocks have that problem, and I think I mentioned it before. I'm going too scant on my seam, so I'm still
Oh,
trying to dial that
okay.
in.
So my rectangles they came out perfect. They came out, I'm doing the 9-inch patch, and they came out 3.5 inches, boom. These ones were the ones that I had to trim because they were all slightly wonky on me.
So you end up with 9.5 inches?
Yeah, I'm still at 9.5. Yeah, I'm consistent there. My first row is going to be shrunk, and then the rest
Ah,
is going to be like,
well,
wow,
you might want to
perfect.
redistribute those. Or you could do sashing. And depending on what you decide to do on your settings, because you've talked about coming up with something different, you could take that into account so that whenever you end up designing is going to save you on those 9-inch blocks.
Can we talk about that for a moment, really quick?
Sure.
The
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about it since you brought it up.
So, yeah, I just really can't get stoked about the rectangle and two squares. And so I saw some people do the Irish chain, and I think that just ties it in really nicely.
It's
But
beautiful.
but I don't want to do the Irish chain. So I started looking in Socialites 1 and 2, and I found this that I liked. I thought that was fun, the little
Oh,
diamond
yeah.
thing. And if I just kept the background color consistent, and then I could change the second fabric. And then I found this that looks like a link. This is
Oh, yeah.
number 15 and Socialites 2. And then this one, Dan and I both fell in love with, and it goes back to the Irish chain, but it's this.
Oh, that's really cool. So what would you do with those? How would you
I would do
disperse
every
them?
other one would be a consistent block.
I got you.
I might I might keep like this red fabric. I've got a dark blue picked out. I got to see if I have enough. I might keep those all dark blue and then change the lighter fabric. I thought at first of incorporating my background fabric because I've got a bolt of this background fabric, but then I thought, no, that's going to be too much. I need something different. But
Well, you
so
can always just make one and lay it down and look at it and step back.
exactly. And then do like a couple of variants and then
Yeah.
see if I like that. But one
Yep.
color in all of those setting blocks will be the exact same.
Okay. So that's going to be the calming place for your
Yes.
eyes to rest.
Yes. I just got to make sure I have enough fabric for that.
A strip of those little squares would be really cool that are the same size as the small squares in that
Oh,
block.
yeah. If I did a border that was just the top thing of this,
Yeah.
like a repeated,
Yeah.
that would be really cute.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah. It
really
would.
cute.
Ah, that's a good idea. I'm really leaning towards doing something with strips of flying geese. I really am. I've
Oh,
seen so many quilts with those incorporated, and a lot of them sampler quilts. And I don't know what it is about them, but definitely going to look into that for mine.
so would you do a sashing of oh my gosh, that would be beautiful, Anne, with all of your different colors that you used and then still that black background?
So many questions about it. I have no idea. I would probably, what I might do is take a photo of it and put it on my computer and kind of play with it that way.
Oh, okay. Okay. You
Yeah.
got one of those fun programs. Okay.
Yeah. I have the whole Adobe suite for work.
Use it.
Okay. We haven't talked about tips. Do you have any tips?
Other than the pinning that I did not do, I did a lot of chain piecing, so I thought that made it faster until I saw my time. Not really. Would you do this block again?
I would make a different layout with all the same components. Yes, I would do that. I love square and a square.
Okay. I felt my squares were all, I don't know, this was a learning curve for me.
Square and a squares are not that easy to do.
At least you can see my points. I didn't chop anything off, so I got that going
No,
for
I think
me.
it looks really good. I like your black.
Dare I ask your time?
Okay. So 41:53, we'll call it just under 42.
Okay, I beat you this week. I can't remember if I was 34 or 35, but in there.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, you got it this time. Okay, so that brings us to our new segment. It's show and tell. And this week, Maura's got something to share with us.
I'm so excited. Ah,
Let's see it.
So here's the front of it.
Oh my gosh, I love the colors. That is so awesome, Maura.
Here's the back of it.
Oh my gosh, you actually did some tight quilting on that.
Yeah, if you want to come up. Uh,
Oh my
lo-
gosh, I love your stitches.
but no, I was so proud of this to finish it. I did this in about 8 months, a couple of legs in between, probably 200 to 300 hours hand quilting it. So a lot of evenings.
That's incredible. You switched it up in from one area to the next though, didn't you?
I took the white area, and I kind of did big loops freehand. I didn't draw on it or anything. I just freehanded loops, decided where I wanted those loops to stop, and kind of emphasized this diamond in here. So it just kind of goes here, boom, boom. And then I got all of that finished. And then I went back, and this was a dead area. So I was going to originally do in the middle of these Ohio stars, which I learned from your tutorial on when you were doing your baby quilt. This, I was originally going to do a diamond to kind of accentuate that middle piece because each one has like a heel or a purse or a perfume bottle. It's really cute fabric. And I
Oh,
didn't fussy cut it, I just let it happen. But then I decided that still left too much dead space. So I did a smaller loop de loop through there. And
oh,
then on the edge, I went back to my original diamond pattern. I think I have
oh,
120 blocks in this 6 inch block.
oh,
There's 6 inch
wow.
blocks. Yeah. But the fun story of it was I was at a little salvage shop. There's a art supply in Spokane, and they have all sorts of things available that are secondhand or somebody's deceased, and family donates it, and then it goes to some really great programs in the community, art related for children and such like that. So I go in, and they had these little bags of scraps, and they had this one bag, and it was this wild pink and flowery fabric, and like I say, the high heels and the perfume bottles. And I was like, oh, that would be fun to do something with. Bought it for $1. Take it
Oh my
home, spread it out on my bed. I have a king size bed, and it was like, I think that's enough to do a quilt with. And at the same time, I'm doing your Ohio stars, and I'm just having fun with them. And I'm like, what if I did just no sashing, and so it was one of those quilts that, it starts making another pattern as you're working on the one pattern.
yeah, it's kind of a lattice effect.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I really liked how it was turning out. And so I go back to the store, and they have these things of binding that people have already like pressed and put together. I never ever thought of having binding to go. Bought that for like $1.25. All the white stuff is from my previous stash, the white blocks that I used in the corners. And then I picked up the backside. I don't know if it's somebody's old sheet, but it was just
uh,
fabric that was on the cheap. So yeah, this is my $5 quilt.
that's so awesome. And I love going and finding used fabric. We have a great secondhand fabric store where I live, but their building burned a couple of years ago and they just recently opened in a new place. And I guess it's bigger and better.
Oh
I just
wow.
haven't made it there yet. But I did go to how big was that bag of scraps that you bought?
The bag, it was all stuffed into this little cellophane bag that was maybe this big.
The reason I ask is because I went to our local Goodwill in my area and last weekend, and I always get really good deals on sheets. That's mostly what I use for quilt backs. And I went in there and they actually started organizing their scrap fabric. I was pretty sure they had been throwing it away before that,
Oh,
but
probably,
somebody
yeah.
actually got in there and organized it. However, it was a little spendy. I thought a bag about mm, this big, like maybe a quart size, was like $9.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
know. I went ahead and bought it because it's fabric.
Yeah, it's funny because people will tell you, "Oh, I love to get into quilting, but the fabric is so expensive and it's just all the money that goes to fabric and stuff." And I've spent years accumulating deals that I've found. A shop is going out of business or there's an estate sale or, there's all
Oh,
this
yeah.
I've just collected over the years and stuff. And so, yeah, I love, or I'll hit the Goodwills and I'll find somebody's beginning project and it's on the cheap. And it's like anything else, if you want it bad enough, you can make it happen.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, estate sales are the best. Those are the ones I get excited for. So, yeah, those are the best.
we had one several years ago. It was out at the fairgrounds, and it was this gal that had died, and she was a big quilter in the community, and that they rented a big portion of the fairgrounds, and it was
Wow.
just tables and tables and tables of fabrics and projects. And
Wow.
yeah, I took my aunt to that, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, how big was the house this person lived in?"
I was just thinking, how did she manage it? Oh my gosh. Were they
There's
finding dead cats under
Yeah,
fabric?
there's future inheritance. It's
I'll
bolts
cut
and
that
bolts
out.
of fabric.
Beautiful finish, Maura. Pat yourself on the back for hand quilting an
Yeah, it took
entire quilt. A lot of dedication to hand quilt. I'm not doing it and I have no plans to do it, but I admire anyone that hand quilts their quilts. And I love the way it looks too. It's just, yeah, you have to be so much more patient than I am, maybe.
well, in our political atmosphere, it's nice to stab something over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
All right. So, you have anything else to say about the back porch block?
It was kinda a little too wonky for me, I think.
Yeah, it's unusual. Okay, cross another one off our list, and we will see you next block. Bye, more.
Okay. Bye, Ann.
Okay, it's a rant.